Hey everyone, Tactics here, continuing my advanced routing series for Shadowlands Season 4, and in this video I'll be going over Iron Docks. This is a video I've had a lot of people ask me questions about, so I'm going to go through it today. I'll show you how to do Iron Stars, I'll show you a couple other techs we have for trash at the beginning of the dungeon, as well as the third boss, how we handle things like the second boss. All that stuff I'll go through in this video, so if you learned something, if you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm also going to be listing this MDT link down in the description below if you guys want that. So go down there and grab it if you want it. So basically, just quickly going through the MDT route itself, we have a double pull with Lust off the top here. Note that we are skipping Zolgamux because, again, this is a high key route. Zolgamux, we've found for the most part, he takes so long to kill. You have to invest a lot into him. He's very dangerous. And so in the vast majority of dungeons, we're actually skipping him. And another thing is, like, the trash that he comes with is quite dangerous in its own right. And you see here, like, we pull almost no trash at the beginning, and because we've kind of decided that the trade-off is like, okay, are you pulling the trash early or are you pulling the trash late, right? Because you're deciding one or the other. And with our group, with our comp, we've decided that, yeah, we're just not going to pull many foot soldiers, many dead eyes, many technicians early on in bigger pulls. Technicians alone aren't too bad, but when they're combined with other things, that's when they become a problem. And so instead, we've opted to pull a lot of stuff later in the dungeon and just get through this beginning part. So basically, we're pulling a bunch of trash onto the boss. This is going to be staggered. This isn't all at once, but it does all get pulled onto the boss. And I'll talk you guys through that when we go through the video. And then we go straight into the Iron Stars. These are the Iron Star groupings that we have. And again, I'll talk you through how exactly we position these in the video itself. Moving on, though, we have the Gauntlet here. Just doing this. Remember, you can tank these guys in the hits as well to do extra damage to them. We have the boss, which we do chain some trash into once we've killed 2 of them. And we're going through here. This pack, note, it is banned because, again, the Technician is only a problem when there's other stuff in the pack that's also a problem. In this case, having double Wrangler with a Technician, very, very scary. So we always skip this pack. Gradually doing these packs, third boss, pulling Infiltrator into last boss. There we go. All right, now let's actually take a look at it in practice. Again, 1.25 times speed, and I'll show you some interesting techs here. So we're gonna have off the top here. So I'm gonna pull this pack, and you see our range in the mini map. They're running around, or you can see just at the corner right here. They're gonna be running around this wagon right here. And what that actually does for them is once they're in that corner and this pack gets grouped up, they will be considered LOS. They stepped it a little bit here for a second, but they'll be considered LOS. I think 1 foot soldier will charge, and that's it. They'll be considered LOS from these foot soldiers. Yeah, that guy's going to charge, but now they're going to be deep in the wagon, and there will just be no bleeds going out. So this does count as LOS, but there's this little line of stuff. You see, we actually have a raid marker down as well. They can hit here, but it's LOS from these mobs going to them. So they're using that to prevent any bleeds in this first pull from going out. Because there's like, what, there's 3 foot soldiers? Yeah, there's 3 foot soldiers in this pack that are just basically auto-attacking. They're doing nothing. So neat little tech you can do there to make this first pull extremely safe. And all you're really worried about then is that Deadeye. That Deadeye is the guy that's blasting. So from here, we're just skipping. We just Shroud. We have it. You can Mind Soothe and walk past all these guys. It's not a big deal either. Either works. If you don't have a rogue, you have a priest. You don't have a priest, you have a rogue. You can also Invispot. Grip that guy right over the edge, and we're pulling these 3 into the boss initially. And basically, how this boss works is that this boss essentially does nothing when the wolf isn't active. So initially in the fight, it's just the wolf, and he doesn't do any special abilities, right? Because once you get the wolf to 50% health, he jumps off the wolf, and the wolf starts doing jump into people, frontals at your tank, all that kind of stuff. That's super dangerous. But in the times between that, so in the times when it's 100 to 50%, or when the wolf is dead and it's just the boss, that's when you start chaining trash. So right at the beginning here, you just chain double Technician, Infiltrator onto the boss. We're killing all this stuff. The boss is essentially doing nothing, right? It's just the fire arrows that are going to come out that you just kind of walk away from. Slowly like this, right? And we're just killing all the trash here. Little weird frontal, stopping those grease files as much as you can, right? Those grease files, they'll put puddles on the ground, which will stun you. Kind of annoying. Stop as many as you can. It's not actually too hard to stop anymore. It's especially if you know what you're looking for. So try and stop as many as you can. See, we're just canceling it. Killing all these guys. Watching boss health here. And again, at 50%, that's when you want to make sure. You notice like Tiger and stuff is being held here. Combust is going to be coming up. So they're holding stuff because boss is getting close to 50% here. As soon as boss hits 50%, he will instantly charge at your tank. Okay, the frontal that is dangerous and that your DPS will get one shot by is the tank charge. So you always want to be careful where you're positioned relative to the tank. So right when this happens, of course, tank, make sure you taunt the actual boss himself. But the dog is going to charge in a straight line at your tank. Notice all the DPS are over here. They're giving the dog a lot of respect. Dog charges, then they go swap to the dog, pop their CDs on the dog, and he's going to now jump out to someone else. This is not lethal. This is just the channel attack that it deals ticking damage, right? It's not not dangerous at all, right? It's still doing a significant amount of damage, but it's not going to insta one-shot you. But then remember, he is going to then charge at the tank. So notice the position of the DPS. They're all on the outside here, on the outside here. I'm stationary over here. And the charge is going to come shortly after. There it is, right there. I did get feared there, unfortunate. I think there's probably just like my dots or something taking on the guy. Basically, our priest is like insta-purging that fear off the boss. It's just sometimes it takes from like AoEs and stuff like that. Just is what it is sometimes. You can try just not hitting him at all, but hit and miss. But yeah, just try and purge that as fast as possible. Yeah, I think it was fire arrow shenanigans there. And then again, dog does the mauling. He's going to walk back in and charge. Just like that. So always be careful after he goes out to maul. You're positioning with respect to the tank. And tanks obviously trying not to shoot that guy through people. So here we're going to be pulling in more guys. You see there, he grabbed the pat there. You have to kind of watch where that pat is. There's a pack of 3 deckhands up here that we want to add in. But there's a padding Deadeye that we do not want to add in. So he grabs those 3 guys. I grab this infiltrator. I'm going to kind of work my way around in a circle here because of this fire to add these deckhands in, get aggro on them, drop the death and the K down so they don't murder your party. Something interesting to notice. So apparently these hatchet tosses snapshot your position. So you can actually like dodge them, which is kind of weird. They like are technically a swirly on the ground. It's just not shown, is my understanding. At least it's what I've been told, is that you are able to actually avoid them if you move when they're getting cast and the target is you, which is interesting. Not the end of the world if you don't, obviously. But yeah, from here on, the wolf is dead, right? As soon as the wolf spawns, right, they pop their CDs, they kill the wolf, and then the wolf is dead, so we start adding in all this stuff. And it's just not, there's not too much danger here, right? And as this stuff dies, we're going to add more stuff. We can fast forward a tad bit here. Right, stuff is dying. I'm adding another technician. I believe I'm going to add in that other pat over there. I think they're just on a bit of a bad pat. Yeah, add these 3 deckhands in, right? So basically it's 3 deckhands, 3 deckhands. We need to pull a total of 2 technicians in. And then the infiltrator himself. So I think that technician dies, so I grab the next technician. And that's all the pulls we're doing before the Iron Stars. Now, we get to the Iron Stars, which I'm sure is something a lot of people are interested in. So, there are 2 ways to handle the Iron Stars, right? There's the way we're going to do, and then there's the Eyes of the Beast tech, which was shown off a lot in the Great Push, and certainly is better, because it lets you kill an additional Ogron. And especially is very, very good if you don't have a Warlock in your party, which would also let you skip that Ogron, right? There's 2 ways to skip that Ogron. One of them, you actually get to kill it with the Hunter. One of them, you actually just full skip it with a Warlock. We don't have either, so that means we have to kind of natty fight it. But so in this route, with this Iron Stars, and with the other Hunter route as well, it's the same first Iron Star. And this is kind of the most dangerous one, because this is the one where you're actually forced to tank some real Ogrons. And tank stuff for the longest, because you're not really able to kite super well, because you're kind of surrounded on both sides. So we had a bad pat over there, but basically it's 3 Ogrons, this pack in the middle here, and this pack in the path here. So you see, I'm committing a ton of defensives here. I also cheated. And that Iron Star needs to get sent very, very quickly. That's the most dangerous Iron Star by far, is that first one. I probably should have committed Icebound to that as well. But like that's where you want to commit most of your defensives, and feel free to stack them. Like you're going to be taking a decent amount of damage because you actually have to tank those mobs for a little bit, especially as a DK. I cannot outrun them, right? It's not happening. These other ones though, you for sure can. So what's happening here? This second one, also the same, regardless of whether you're doing the Hunter Eyes of the Beast tech or you're doing the No Hunter tech. So basically, you're going to see here, I'm going to tag these guys. The priest is tagging those guys, and I take the one additional Ogron. These guys are tied to one of the other Ogrons. So if you back up, sorry, these guys here are tied to this guy. So you just need to tag them, and this guy will come. This guy needs to be tagged individually. So you're going to see that those guys are tagged. We're all tagged, and now we're all just running straight back. We're just running straight back towards the Iron Stars. We're not tanking a damn thing. They're all lined up. You bowl, and doing it in this way means that one Deadeye is going to be left. Because the Deadeyes are casters, they're going to lag behind, or range, they're going to lag behind. And this has 16 mobs. Right? These Iron Stars are target capped, if you don't know, at 15 mobs. That's why the pulls are designed in the way they are. So if you do it this way, that Deadeye will always be last, so he will always be up, which is what you want. You want to have one Deadeye left, and then you move on to your next pull. So this is where the pulls vary, okay? So for us, because we can't Eyes of the Beast pull all the stuff in this gauntlet, we instead pull this stuff here with this entire pack and do a very similar thing and run straight back. So the rogue is gone. The rogue's going to pull all this stuff for me. Now, what you would do with the Eyes of the Beast thing is instead you would pull the entire gauntlet with your pet and these two packs here. And then you would single tag this Ogron. This Ogron is actually not tied to any of these mobs, which is why you have to see. I have to run into this pack to pull it all, because none of these mobs are actually tied together. So you can single pull this Ogron, and that's what you would do in the Eyes of the Beast route. You would single pull this Ogron, and then what you would do is you would kill the rest of these deckhands and dudes here with the two Infiltrators, because the Infiltrators are immune to Iron Stars. So instead, though, we're not doing that. We're pulling all these guys. Cheating again because I didn't pop Rune Weapon. And we are running straight back in a straight line. Again, the goal here is to not tank anything. You do not want to tank anything. And honestly, if you have a range that can pull all that pack with the Ogron in it, that's probably ideal. And then you just have two Infiltrators left. Everything else is dead. You have the two Infiltrators, and that's it. Pretty convenient Iron Stars. But yeah, if you have a range, you probably should have your range pull that, pull those far guys. Just have the tank pull the Ogron and have a range tag the other back stuff. That way the tank doesn't have to jump in, right? That was insanely dangerous for me to jump into this pack, like I did. Right here, right? Like have the tank pull this guy, and then have a range like AoE or something the rest of these guys here so that they come. Because the rogue is obviously running for his life pulling this stuff. But yeah, this is a little suspicious. Maybe don't do this. But yeah, then it's just two Infiltrators. So you just kill these Infiltrators and you move on. So we have this pack here, and you're going to see I'm going to mass grip them outside, and I'm going to then step inside, and they're going to get hit by this bombardment. The other thing you can do, which is pretty decent, see there, that yell, this buff right here, is like it's like a mini bloodlust. But this is from mind controlling the chain mask, this guy. You mind control him, and it lets you cast this haste spell and gives your whole party a big haste buff. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. But again, just watch aggro, because of course mind control aggro, it requires 2 taunts to get your aggro back. So just be careful of that. Don't let your healer get murdered after doing that. And notice how the healer sent the chain master out to like here. Before dropping the MC. So just keep that in mind. Something you can do, not needed, but a nice little boost. We're waiting here. Going to be adding the Ogron after this, and we're going to wait a round of fire before moving this Ogron into the next pack. Same idea though. Ogron and the flame guys especially, keep them outside as much as possible. Just a bunch of extra damage that you can get on these guys. And also, I'm actually pretty sure that this would be your Bloodlust on Fort Week. I don't actually think you need to Bloodlust the next boss. And it's obviously up, right? Because we lusted the first pull. So I think this is a pretty solid Bloodlust, because this pull, as you're going to see, is a little dangerous, right? You have a real Ogron here. You have 2 of these Flame Slingers. You have an Infiltrator, and then the Battle Master himself also does the chain stuff. So not a bad Bloodlust, I don't think, especially on Fort Weeks in particular. And especially if you're not doing the Eyes of the Beast tech, right? Because if your Eyes of the Beast tech, like, all this stuff is gone, right? You have like 1 pull before the Gauntlet with the Infiltrators and the guys you didn't kill with the Iron Star, and that's it. So you don't have to do all this stuff. So obviously that route, again, 100% better. We don't have a rogue, or sorry, we don't have a hunter, and we don't have a warlock. Because if we had a warlock, you can also drop a gate down. Actually, I'll show that. There's a gate you can drop down from like over here at the top of my screen into the next pack, which allows you to skip this Ogron as well entirely. Obviously, you would then need to make up count, probably pulling individual technicians into the first boss. Is my guess where you would find that count. But yeah, that's how you would skip that with a warlock. Probably beneficial to do that. If you have a warlock, just skip this guy. If you have a hunter, obviously just try and pull him into the Iron Stars. If you have both, pick one of the 2. Maybe do the skip instead, because it's much easier to execute. Up to you though. Definitely though, the Eyes of the Beast tech is for sure worth it if you're able to pull it off and you're coordinated and all that stuff. Now, we go into boss. Okay, so for this boss, we focus the Sanguine Shield Lady, especially post the nerf, I guess, to make the shield actually scale with key level. It wasn't before, so we just full stack them at all times. Melee just back off to the side here to avoid that charge. I'm always charging them into this corner here. And we hard focus the Arok, I guess, Arioke, the caster. We full focus the caster. As soon as the Sanguine Shield goes up on the caster, all damage swaps to Nissa. Here it is, like all damage is swapping to Nissa. And this shield is just not going to break. Because it is now big enough, it scales with key level. I'm LOSing here just to group them better because we had a bunch of traps Melee wanted to move. I think you're going to see me actually end up going back after this as well, because we should have waited out that trap spawn probably before doing this LOS. But, you know, not the end of the world. So we're gonna be here. We group the mobs up. We're going to go back probably after in a second here, because, again, these traps are a bit of a pain. So letting the slash go out in the corner. Probably going to be LOSing around the other way. Again, every time a Sanguine Sphere goes out, damage just hard swaps to Nissa, and they end up going down like fairly evenly because of this. So I'm going around, I'm LOSing again up here, trying to get a spot with few traps to give Melee a little bit of space. Another Flaming Slash, and again, shield, they're swapping to Nissa. Shield's down, we go back to Ari. And once these 2 die, you're going to see us start chaining trash. Particularly the one trash pull right here. You guys are going to die. As soon as they die, that flame touch going out in the wall, moving over here. Get a better position on these guys. And yeah, we have a range tag them. And we go down to LOS because there is this guy here, the throwing guy, the Wrangler, which are a pain. So you need to be careful with the Wrangler. So he gets in, Wrangler becomes the focus, and yeah, this is my fault. I should have aimed this slash at the wall. I had not turned already. I was focusing on the Wrangler. But I'm just going to move up here to the Wrangler and readjust that way. Guys, disengaging. Grip and disengage have like the same CD, so very useful. So we're going to kill this Wrangler, and we're going to chain this Clefthoof into the next pack. Now, these Clefthoofs, they're basically just giant health bags. They don't really do much. The only thing they do is they'll randomly charge at a ranged player. So that charge is always going to be targeted at a ranged player if you have one. If there's none in range, right, if they're dead, or if you just don't have a range, it'll charge a melee, so be careful. But otherwise, it'll always charge a ranged. So as long as ranged are aware of it and that it can happen, that it's going to happen, you can just chain these guys as much as you want. So we're having double Wrangler here. Whenever you're pulling any of these packs, the priority has to be the Wranglers. They do a lot of damage. You see, I'm LOSing here to try and group them up. They will disengage out. They will do frontal cleaves. So melee needs to be careful. They will do this disengage, which is annoying. You can try and position them a little bit so they turn into this wall here. That's what I should have done. And they'll just disengage into the wall, which can be very, very helpful. Otherwise, though, you're just watching these rending the cleave attacks on these Wranglers, and melee, or everyone really, is focusing those Wranglers down ASAP to try and just get rid of that dangerous, cleave attack. The random damage they shoot out as well is a little dangerous. But again, we've kind of, after testing this dungeon a fair bit, have come to the conclusion that we would much rather pull Wranglers than guys at the beginning of the dungeon. So that's what you want to focus on there. Just killing those Wranglers. And as soon as, I believe we're just going to kill this Cleftuff, we're going to kill this Infiltrator, we're going to chain to the 2-pack here, just in front of us. Yep. Chain to the next pack here. And again, same deal. These guys also have frontals. They're a little less dangerous than the Wranglers because, again, a lot of that is telegraphed with fire on the ground. But obviously, that comes with more the area denial in addition to the Wranglers and the Caltrops, right? So got to be careful with that. So we're going to kill this Wrangler. As soon as the Wrangler dies, we're going to chain to the next pull, because you never want to pull, like, whenever there's a Wrangler in a pack, you always want to kill it before you chain. That is the #1 thing you want to be focused on here. Never just go into a pull with this Wrangler just chilling back here. That's bad news. All right, same deal here. I'm going to pull into this corner to try and group up the Wranglers. And it probably could have turned slightly here. And yeah, this pull gets a little weird because there's the fire area denial and there's the Wranglers. And so there's not a ton of space for melee. I probably should have backed up a little bit more here to give them some space. They have a little bit, but it's not very much. And see, now that there's fire there, it's just a bit of a pain. So what's going to happen here is, I believe I end up turning into the wall after this to kind of group these mobs up. Yeah, there we go. I've turned into the wall, so the Wranglers are going to like back up this way now. And then melee have a bit more space, which is how you want to handle this, right? It's a very dangerous pack for melee. So obviously, like, we're double melee and we're doing these dangerous melee pulls. So it's a little bit spooky. Much easier if you're a double ranged comp doing this. But again, definitely we're making the decision to pull these Wranglers and Flame Spitters instead of stuff at the beginning, because we just feel like it's more, it is safer than just depleting your key at the beginning of the dungeon. And frankly, like, if you die here, you can just release and run back mounted. It's not the end of the world. So we're chaining Cleftuff down here into this pack, another Infiltrator. And again, just facing these guys away into the back here, and I'm going to kite slowly into the back of this room as these fire area denials come out, just to give them more space. And because there's only one Wrangler, it's easier for me to handle with the Death Grip. I can just fully Death Grip this guy. So as the fire comes out here, I'm going to move back a bit. And again, melee are over here to avoid those frontals. I'm over here. We kind of have our own little stacks. Those guys dead. We're going to kill this Infiltrator, and then we have the 3-pack again, which has another Infiltrator in it before the 3rd boss, which we have some pretty interesting tech for. So yeah, these guys, we just start moving. Go into the next pack here. Something to note for this pack in particular is, I believe it's Siege Master has the AoE off of the tank. So it's like a splash on the tank, this hit right here. So just melee DPS, don't be on the tank again. I mean, and that's kind of the story of all this trash. They're behind him. Obviously, there's the Blade Storm in this pack as well, and there's the Weapon Throw as well. So there's a lot of stuff to avoid, specifically for melee as well. Again, a lot of this trash at the end is less melee friendly. So, you know, be wary if you're a melee heavy comp doing this. It's definitely very scary, very punishing. You need good positioning, good awareness. It is, I think, probably the hardest and the tightest dungeon timer, I think, for sure. So definitely a hard dungeon, this patch. Maybe the hardest dungeon in Season 4. It's rough, for sure. But yeah, we're going into boss now with this Battle Master. And we have an interesting thing. So we're going to pull this boss all the way into this corner right here. All right, boss is going to charge into this corner. We're just cleaving. He's going to charge right in. And he is going to open a cage first. This one right next to him. Basically, how he works is he'll only open cages in LOS. So what this does when he gets deep into this corner, for example, is there's only 3 cages in LOS of him. One of them is this one, which apparently doesn't actually contain anything. He like goes to open it, as he already did, and nothing comes out of it. He's then going to open one of these 2 cages over there, which both contain Rylax, the caster dude, so which we just keep CC'd. So you're going to see over the course of this fight, basically, he's not going to do much in terms of wolves, anything like that. So Rylax comes out, no one touched it, we just CC it. We have Poly, Para, and Blind to deal with that. So I believe the first one is Parad or something like that, and the second one gets Poly'd. And he's just going to sit here. And we're going to tank him in this corner, and he's just going to feed on someone. It's a mage, you can block it, rogues vanish, Night Elf can do what's it called? Meld, Shadow Meld. Hunters can feign it, all that stuff. Paladins bop it off, bubble it off. So lots of ways to just get rid of that entirely, and then he does nothing. He's just kind of in this corner. We're chilling. That is the boss fight. There's a chance this does get fixed, of course, because they fixed a very similar bug on the second boss. Though I guess he is still doing his abilities here. It just lets you have no wolves, which were like a very, very dangerous part of this boss fight. So he is going to jump away and open another Rylax cage in this corner here. But yeah, the main benefit is you never have to deal with wolves ever. And we have another CC to that Rylax. It'll just get polyed. The other one gets repaired. And we're chilling. They're all CC'd. We kill them. Let me move up onto the boat. Yeah. Move them onto the boat. We grab the infiltrator that's off in this other corner. And we go all CDs, Bloodlust on pull to try and nuke this guy, Koromar. Basically, how this works is this kind of pierces and like cleaves. So you want to watch your positioning so you're not getting hit and not splashing it. I believe on pull here we do splash it a bit so you can see what that looks like. Not good. Not good. But basically hard focus Koromar to get this guy out of the cannon, and then you don't have to deal with that annoyance anymore. So there we are. We're on Koromar. The infiltrator is just kind of going to get cleaved down as it happens. All damage here is focused onto Koromar. You see there, that's getting cleaved, right? That's a triple cleave because I believe they're lined up. Let's rewind that a second just to see what exactly happened there. Yeah, see, they're all in a line and they're all getting triple cleaved. That's what happened there. And then Ro moved out, he stopped getting cleaved. So it pierces and it cleaves. So you have to be aware of that. So you don't want to be lined up with people, and you don't want to be right beside someone either, because it will cleave to you, and if you're in a line, it'll pierce. So be careful. It does both. And then we're just running back. Obviously, always making sure someone breaks it after that first cannon barrage. On boss to make sure he comes to me. Finishing off Mr. Bladestorm. And then we're pretty safe after that happens. As soon as Mr. Bladestorm dies, all damage starts going into Skulllock, because this guy, who, when he jumps out of the cannon, essentially does nothing, right? He just kind of chills, auto attacks. Actually, I don't even know if he has an ability. He probably does, but it's not significant. You just hit Skulllock from now on. And that is the fight, right? You kill Skulllock, Drawn Smash, make sure one person gets interrupted after the first cast every time. And that's pretty much it for this boss and this dungeon. So hopefully you guys did learn something. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. We'll be doing this all much more quickly now. Of course, I've actually been able to do live keys, practice routes, kind of get my own feel for them, and put all this stuff out. So expect videos coming out every day this week to finish off the rest of my Season 4 dungeon advanced guides. So hopefully it's useful. If you have any questions, of course, leave a comment down below, or check me out on my Twitch at Tactics. I'll do my best to answer there as well if you have anything you guys are curious about. Otherwise, though, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.